Hi, everybody, and welcome back. My name's Melissa, and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. So today's tip is to repurpose what you already have and reuse those jars that things come in. You don't need to go out and buy special containers or anything like that because, they're a waste of money. And you really don't need Tupperware. So I have some examples here. First are my beans, rice, anything like this. I will use some of my sauce jars. If I use a ton of pasta sauce. I probably go through a jar of pasta sauce a week. So I have so many of these. I have like 14 of them or so in the fridge that I have for tea. That's like 3.5 days worth of tea. And then I have these for like rice, beans, all sorts of things. And then I just tape the label to the outside and then I have it. Some other things, I have some pickle jars. And pickle jars are almost impossible to get the smell out of. So I have this one is for grease. This is I have some leftover bacon grease, like the bottom stuff that I had some like stuff that kind of charred on the bottom of the pan. So that, and I'll put like ground meat grease, like, burger grease or beef grease or whatever in that and save that. The other pickle jar I use as a composting jar. So things like my coffee, my eggshells, stuff like that. I can just like put that in there for a few days so that in the winter I don't have to go out to the compost bin every day. And plus, even in the summer, you're going to want something to put it in before you go out there. I also have, this is a pesto sauce jar, and I just put a little olive oil in it, and then I put this like an old lip gloss thing. I actually used to use them for art. I still kind of sometimes do. When I do signs, I use them for stain touch up if I have any issues with the I'm trying to think what it's called, with the stencil thing that you get on the Cricut. Is it Osbo or Oxbow? I can't remember. Or a mask, that's what it is. And then I just put it on my nails. So I do a lot of woodworking in the summer. It's not as important for me in the winter to do this, but in the summer I have to do it at least once in the morning and once at night because woodworking is very drying to begin with, like all that sawdust and everything will help like take the oils right out of your hands and your fingers. And I'm washing more clothes because you're hiking and your clothes get more smelly. You can't it's not like jeans. Jeans you can wear a few times before you wash them versus, shorts that you hike in, you kind of got to wash them right away. Things like my woodworking clothes have to be washed separate because of the sawdust and everything that gets in them. And then, just in general, you're going through clothes quicker. In the summer, I can sometimes go through 3 outfits in a day, not including pajamas, just because I get sweaty from, working out in the yard, working out in general, woodworking, hiking, I'm out a lot. So my hands get, they're constantly in water, that and the dishes and having to wash your hands after woodworking and staining and blah, blah, blah. So I really do need to put oil on my fingernails to protect them because they were like breaking so bad. And so I just used an old pesto jar. Another thing, baby food jars. I wish this, I think, is my only baby food jar. I love baby food jars. This is just some coconut oil. I keep it by my bedside. Don't use it as much in the winter, but sometimes in the summer I want it. I'll use it for like my instead of lotion kind of a thing. In the winter, I kind of have to use a Vino because I have sensitive skin. Another container. This is well, right now it's empty, but I will. So this was a generic Aveeno lotion container. I got as much out as I could. Then I cut it in half, scrape the rest out. And then if you look, there's like, I don't know, can you see that? There's the top half I put in there. And then it catches all the water from the sponge as it dries. And then I just dump it every so often. and it keeps that nice. So that's already set. And then the lotion goes in here. I use every last bit of the lotion. That saves me money too. Then you've got your containers for food. So this Bueno beef container, I can use it for my kids' pasta, macaroni and cheese, one of his, safe foods that does tend to take up more room. And a lot of people, so if you're Gen X, that's no surprise to you. That's like really something we all grew up with. Like, is it country crock or is it pasta salad? Is it Cool Whip or is it, beef stroganoff? I don't know. I can't think of anything right now. We never had beef stroganoff in my house, so I don't know why I thought of that one. But even though my mom actually cooked a lot of my meals that I ate, I mean, like, we had things like rice-a-roni and spaghetti, but we didn't have a lot of we had butter instead of margarine, so we didn't have like the country crock containers. We did sometimes have some like Cool Whip containers because my grandma went through a lot of Cool Whip, so we used hers. But you can repurpose that. I have to-go containers from like the Chinese restaurant near me, and I use those for meal prep. I have, if you look in here, I don't know if you can see, but I have different to-go containers that, again, I have all organized. These I have 3 sizes, and I actually bought these, and I absolutely love the mix of 3 sizes, and I used to get them from the place I worked at in Florida. We would get a free meal, and I would frequently take mine home, and then my kid and I could both eat, and they would frequently do my sides in those, and then I would just like keep it for later, and use it again or whatever. So when all of those finally broke, because I didn't realize I left a lot of them behind in Florida at my parents' house, so I didn't have as many as I thought, and then they broke. So I did actually pay and replace those because I'm a big dork and I like those. But most of my to-go containers I got for free, and there's not a lot to them. Oh, and I forgot, like, I also so sometimes you get the jars where it's got the measurements on it, and I like these for when I go camping or I travel. So every morning I have the same breakfast. I have my Raisin Bran with my 4 ounces of 1% milk in the Raisin Bran, and my 10 ounces of coffee with my 4 stevia, and my 4 ounces of almond milk. So these are convenient because they are measured in half cup increments. So I can carefully, I can put this in the cooler and it stays nice, and I can put, like, if I'm going to be gone for 3 days, I'll put 2 cups of milk in, and that way I do have that like little cushion in case I'm stuck an extra day or running late, or I don't know, in case I accidentally pour a serving out. I don't know. I like to be prepared. So pretty much most of my stuff gets repurposed and reused. And I mean, like, it's crazy how many of these jars I have, because I go through like a jar of pasta a week. I have 14 of those in the fridge with herbal tea ready to go in my lunch. And then but some things you don't want to use these for. So if it's not heat resistant, if you don't know that this is going to be able to be boiled safely, and that doesn't mean that you go and you boil the jar and say, oh, it works. Like, it has to have a certain quality. So like, this is one of my canning jars, and if it doesn't have any canned goods in it, I will frequently reuse it, repurpose it for storing something else until I can again in the fall. And this fall I'm going to be a big girl and can all on my own. No mommy's help. So I'll definitely post those too. And you can see if I absolute disaster at it when I do it on my own. But, jars like that are fine for canning, but you don't want to necessarily try and can in something like this, or even even a jar like this that has, you know, more of a canning feel to it. The thing is that you don't know for sure if it's heat resistant, and you know, there's special canning lids and, you know, just whatever. But the other thing is some people like to craft, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I love to craft, but they like to use these jars and put candles in them, make candles into them, and that that sounds all good and well, but the problem is that candles get hot, the wax melts, the container gets hot, and it can actually shatter, explode, you know, cause a mess, cause injury. Like, it could be really, really bad for you, your children, your pets, your guests, whoever. So before you do something like make candles and repurpose it for that purpose, do make sure that they are truly heat resistant. And that doesn't mean you do it yourself and you see if it boils, because it might work the first time and not the second. It means you know, it either says it on the jar or the company has confirmed that it is heat safe, so that you know, in fact, that it is safe to do that, because it requires a special kind of glass. I don't know enough about the glass. I just know it requires a special glass. So obviously be safe with your repurposing as well. But things like dried beans or dried rice or whatever, they're fine in there. I don't need a fancy jar for, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, everybody seemed to have these too. Like, my grandma didn't, but most people I knew did. It was like 4 canisters on the counter, and they were typically ceramic with like this special like seal. And the biggest one was flour, and then sugar, and then coffee, and then tea were ours. But I might have the sugar and coffee reversed for us. But some of them were labeled with what they were. Some of them you just had to guess by size. And like, that's where people went to get their stuff. But you don't need that. You can keep flour in your, if you're going through not a lot and you're just, you know, have a 5-pound bag of flour for the year, you know, for a few months, then you can keep it in there. I put mine in a plastic bag because it gets messy, and I just reuse the same Ziploc bag. But you don't need fancy canisters. You don't need a fancy jar to put your beans in. You don't need fancy Tupperware. You need something that works. And also, if you're going to microwave, make sure, like, I know I use these for meal prep because I know they are microwave safe. I don't know if this is microwave safe. I doubt it is. I mean, I'll see if I can find a label on it. So this will be used for storage in the fridge, but then it will get transferred into a ceramic bowl or whatever to heat up. So use what you already have. Don't go out and buy Tupperware. I mean, you already have, turn those single-use plastic items into a multi-use, because we all know that, like, what is it, like 90% of plastic doesn't get recycled. And if you want it recycled, you have to actually wash it and have like everything out of it before they'll even recycle it. So if you're going to have to wash it anyways to have it recycled, you might as well wash it and reuse it. Anyways, my name's Melissa. This year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. And today's tip is reuse what you already have and repurpose items for storage and such. Anyways, if you like hearing my tips and you want to hear more, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If there's something you want to know more about, please feel free, even if it's completely off topic, leave it in the comments below, and I'll see if I can also touch on that. So if you want to know how to save money on a specific thing. Anyways, thank you all so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great night.